Ayahuasca isn't just a drug, it's a reality check, and most people aren't ready for it. You've heard it called medicine, a spiritual shortcut, a way to heal, expand, or elevate. But here's the truth. Ayahuasca doesn't take you where you want to go, it takes you where you've been hiding. It doesn't hand you answers, it drags your forgotten questions out of the dark. It doesn't heal you, it shows you exactly why you're sick. And no, it doesn't feel good, because you're not sipping a brew. You're summoning an ancient force, one that doesn't comfort you, one that confronts. You come chasing light, and it throws you into shadow, not out of cruelty, but out of honesty. And the real problem isn't the plant, it's the way people approach it, as tourists, as thrill seekers, as consumers. Ayahuasca isn't a vibe, a lifestyle, or a story to impress your friends. It's not entertainment, it's liquid truth. And truth, real truth, is not easy to digest. Traditionally, ayahuasca wasn't consumed, it was inherited, received in dreams, chants, and visions. It wasn't an experiment but a calling, and not everyone could respond. Only those who could listen to the forest in silence, those strong enough to hold the invisible without breaking. Among the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, ayahuasca was a spirit, and this spirit followed rules. The Shipibo called it Oni, and it was only accessed after years of diet, solitude, and silence. The shaman wasn't a facilitator, but a bridge between worlds. His body an instrument, his song a medicine, his life a path of renunciation. The Quichua used it to see within, not to see the future or colors, but the truth. The illness in the soul, the memory that hurts, the trauma unspoken. And the plant revealed it not with ideas, but visions. Serpents, jaguars, symbolic death. Because for the forest peoples, the soul isn't healed with words, but with courage. In ceremonial nights, the fire marked the center. Darkness was not feared, it was embraced, because in the darkness the Icaros were sung. Songs not invented, but received from the plants, spirits, and ancestors. The shaman didn't sing to sound pretty. He sang to navigate, to guide, to protect the traveler's body while the soul descended. In these cultures, ayahuasca wasn't a substance, it was a being. And that being wasn't summoned out of curiosity, but necessity. To heal, to learn, to remember. The plant wasn't the center, it was part of a whole: tobacco, silence, diet, intention, the circle. Everything mattered, because everything held the encounter. Nothing was improvised. The ceremony was a map, a refuge, a trial. There were no spectators, only participants. And if your heart was not clean, ayahuasca would show you. Not gently, but with vision, fire, vomit, and truth. That was the sacred part. Not the brew, but the bond. The way it was taken, the way it was honored. Because it wasn't about opening doors, but about being worthy to cross them. And it's not a drink, it's an encounter. It's not a liquid you swallow, it's a spirit that opens you. And if you don't understand it that way, it's not ayahuasca that will fail you. It's you who isn't ready, because you're not drinking a plant. You're calling on the grandmother, that's what she's called. Not out of affection, but wisdom. Because she has seen more than you, because she knows you before you call her. Because she doesn't speak as a guide, but as a voice from within. And like all wise grandmothers, she's not soft, she's fair. She doesn't give you what you want, she gives you what you need. Even if it stings, even if it burns, even if it hurts, because pain isn't punishment, it's a mirror, a message, part of the language she uses when you've forgotten how to listen. That's why permission is asked. It's not taken just because. The meeting isn't improvised, it's not forced, it's prepared. The body is cleansed, the stomach emptied, the noise turned off. Because respect isn't an idea, it's an energy, and ayahuasca doesn't respond to words but to vibration. Indigenous peoples fast, pray, remain silent, not out of religion but clarity. Because they know that if you are dirty inside, she will show you. If your heart is twisted, she will bend it more until you finally see it. Not as punishment, but as truth. The modern world's mistake isn't taking ayahuasca. It's not knowing who they are talking to. Calling it an experience instead of a ceremony. Seeking visions without offering silence. Arriving with a full mind, inflated ego, and a body at war. Expecting the plant to do magic. But the grandmother doesn't do magic. She cleans. And cleaning hurts. Removing hurts. Truly seeing hurts. That's why we ask permission, bow our heads, and sing. Because humility is the only key that opens that door. And if you don't know how to surrender, better not call her. Because the grandmother is not taken, she is honored. Ayahuasca is not the beginning, it is the test. The real work begins long before. Days, weeks, sometimes months before the brew touches your lips. Because no one arrives clean to the truth. No one is ready without preparation. And the plant doesn't cleanse for you. It only reveals what you haven't cleansed. That's why you follow a diet, not out of superstition, but out of respect, out of clarity. Meat, alcohol, sugar, sex, salt, stimulation are left behind. Not because they're evil, but because they distract, they cloud, they alter the subtle field the plant needs to enter. Silence is kept. You sleep with yourself. You listen to your dreams. You walk without music. You lower your gaze. You stop talking just to talk. All of that is preparation. All of that is part of the rite. It's not done to please the plant. It's done to stop lying to yourself. If your body is heavy, you will vomit the physical. If your mind is dirty, you will see distortions. If your soul is closed, the plant won't enter. Or it will, but by breaking you open. And when it breaks without permission, you don't forget it. The people of the Amazon know this. They're not afraid of the plant. They respect the reflection. They know that if you don't clean yourself first, the mirror shatters in your hands. That's why there is preparation, containment, chanting, diet, tobacco, silence, intention. All of that is medicine. Without it, the brew is just chaos. The shaman doesn't begin the ceremony with the cup. He begins days earlier, reading your energy, feeling your shadow, seeing if you are ready. Because the plant is not for everyone. Not always. Not now. There are those who want to drink to escape, to see lights, to heal quickly. But the grandmother doesn't work like that. She doesn't heal you. She shows you what you must heal yourself. And if you arrive dirty, rushed, arrogant, full of expectations and hunger for sensations, what you receive won't be healing. It will be mirror, noise, excess, and you'll come out saying it was too much, too dark, that you didn't understand anything. But it wasn't the plant. It was your lack of preparation. Ayahuasca doesn't perform miracles. It performs truth. And to witness it without breaking, you must first cleanse, not to be pure, but to be clear, so that when she speaks, you can listen. Not all visions are beautiful. Not all songs are sweet. Some see fire, some see their dead. Some see their fear turned into an animal. And that is not a mistake. It is the plant doing her work, showing what was hidden, what hurts, what waits. In the jungle, they don't speak of hallucinations. They speak of encounters with the jaguar, with the serpent, with death. Not as symbols, but as real presences, guardian spirits, ancient energies, allies or challenges, depending on your energy. Because ayahuasca doesn't project, it reflects. And what you see depends on what you carry. The jaguar appears when there is fear, when there is unused strength, when rage is buried. It walks around you, watches you, sometimes devours you, not to destroy, but to empty you so you can be reborn. The serpent arrives when there are knots, trapped memories, unspoken trauma. It slides along the spine, awakens what's asleep, bites what can no longer stay. Sometimes it shines, sometimes it burns, but it always transforms. And death doesn't come as a shadow, it comes as truth. It removes your body, erases your name, leaves you empty. Not to scare you, but to remind you that you are not what you think you are, that you are something deeper, something that survives the ego, something that doesn't need explanation. Westerners call it a trip. Indigenous peoples call it symbolic death. Because it's not entertainment, it's dissolution, the fall of the persona, the silence after the scream, the moment when you stop being you and begin to remember what you've always been. And that often feels like dying, because it is. A part of you dies, the part that clings, that justifies, that needs to be right. Ayahuasca doesn't take your life, it takes your lie. And what remains is more real, more wild, more free. That's why not all visions are beautiful, because not all parts of you are. And she doesn't sugarcoat, she reveals. People think something went wrong when they feel anxiety, when they cry without understanding, when they want to escape and can't. They say ayahuasca was too strong, the dose was off, the shaman sang strangely. But it wasn't the plant. It was the mirror. It was the truth surfacing. And no one is ready to see themselves without filters. Ayahuasca doesn't bring peace. It shows you why you don't have it. It doesn't offer calm. It reveals your chaos. It doesn't relax you. It empties you. And that emptiness, if you don't understand it, can feel like punishment. But it's cleansing. An echo of something that was already there, you just didn't want to look. Some people vomit not because of the plant, but because of what they've swallowed their whole lives: resentment, guilt, fear, silence. Some tremble because their body finally lets go, because their soul finally speaks, because the mask finally falls. And in that moment, there is no escape, no explanation, only feeling. And for many, feeling is unbearable, because we were taught to flee, to distract, to cover the symptom, to silence the scream. But ayahuasca doesn't anesthetize, it amplifies. It's not a drug that erases, it's a teacher that reveals. And what it reveals is not always comfortable. Sometimes it's what you lost. Sometimes it's what you did. Sometimes it's what you're not yet ready to forgive. She doesn't invent your pain, she reflects it. She doesn't create your shadow, she lights it up. She doesn't provoke your fear, she brings it into the open. And if you don't understand that, you'll call it a bad trip, a negative experience. You'll bury it again. But if you know how to look, you'll see the gift. You'll see that the vomiting was liberation, that the trembling was rebirth, that the anguish was the exit door. Because ayahuasca doesn't come to give you what you're looking for. She comes to show you what you can no longer avoid. She doesn't come to bring you peace. She comes to bring you truth. And truth at first hurts. Ayahuasca is not an event. It's not a story to share over dinner. It's not content. It's not an aesthetic moment under soft lighting. It's a ceremony. And without ceremony, the spirit is lost. The center is lost. The direction is lost. But the modern world wants effect without effort, revelation without preparation, miracles without silence. And so arise the retreats with Wi-Fi, the weekend facilitators, the imported songs, the fashionable necklaces. Ayahuasca becomes spectacle, consumption disguised as awakening, and what was once a rite becomes decoration. Without clear intention, without diet, without silence, without tobacco, without true guidance, what was medicine becomes noise. What was a temple becomes a room. What was a portal becomes a simulation. And then chaos arrives, not because the plant failed, but because no one held the space. In the jungle, the circle is never improvised. It is cleansed, protected, opened with song, closed with tobacco, cared for as if it were a body because it is. It's the collective body of the rite. And without that body, the spirit disperses, and what should heal fragments. The shaman is not an entertainer. He's not there to soothe you. He's there to read the invisible, to fight for you when you can't, to sing when you've forgotten your name, to hold the line between worlds. And if there is no shaman, or if someone plays at being one, the journey is not guided, it is lost. Yet people still come, full of expectations, eager to see colors, hoping to open their third eye in their Instagram feed. They arrive without respect, and the plant feels it, and the spirit hides or punishes. Because the sacred is not automatic, it is relational, it's a response. And if you arrive as a tourist, the plant shows you the way back, sometimes gently, sometimes brutally. The ceremony is not for feeling, it's for remembering. Not to elevate you, but to empty you. It's not for you, it's with you, but beyond you. And if you forget that, you don't enter a temple, you enter a hollow reflection. Because without rite, the sacred dissolves. And ayahuasca without ceremony is not healing, it's risk. Today it's repeated like a mantra. Ayahuasca is medicine, but it's not in the way outsiders understand it, not in the way it's sold. Because a medicine soothes, relieves, closes wounds. But ayahuasca doesn't soothe. It opens, it demands, it tears. It doesn't come with prescriptions, it comes with mirrors. And in that mirror, you don't see a patient, you see an accomplice. You see the one who built their own illness. That's why indigenous peoples didn't call it medicine. They called it a test, a calling, an edge. Because it didn't come to fix you, it came to show you everything you uphold to avoid change, everything you do to avoid seeing, everything you hide behind your story. Medicine treats symptoms. Ayahuasca addresses the root, and sometimes the root is a buried memory, a lived lie, a misaligned life. And seeing that is not pleasant, it's not magical, it's judgment. A judgment without words, without voice, just sensation, just vision, just you facing you. And in that place, the plant doesn't negotiate. It doesn't soften, it doesn't persuade, it simply shows. And you decide whether you can bear it, whether you integrate it, whether you thank it or reject it. But she has already done her part. She has already spoken, she has already cleansed, you have already vomited what your body didn't want to release, what your soul could no longer hold. The modern mistake is wanting to use ayahuasca like a supplement, as if you could heal without changing, transform without letting go. But she doesn't soothe, she interrogates, she strips you bare, and sometimes she breaks you. And that breakdown is not failure, it is beginning. It is what must happen when the structure was already rotting, when the foundation was no longer useful, when your soul had been screaming from within that it could no longer go on that way. Ayahuasca is not medicine. It's liquid truth, ritual judgment. And not everyone passes. Not everyone is ready to see the verdict, because it doesn't always say what you want to hear. Sometimes it says what you've spent your whole life avoiding. The ego wants to do it all alone. It wants to heal without asking for help, transform without being seen, drink, see, cry, integrate, and return as if nothing happened. But ayahuasca is not made for the ego. It's made for the soul. And the soul to heal needs tribe. It needs human mirror. It needs a circle that holds it when it no longer knows who it is. That's why the ancients never drank alone. They sang together, trembled together, vomited together. And it wasn't weakness, it was containment. They knew that what breaks inside needs an outside to embrace it. They knew the spirit could show you everything, but without someone to listen upon your return, the vision dissolves. The medicine is not just the plant, it's the other. The circle is not there to accompany you, it's there to remind you. To remind you who you are when you forget. To remind you that your pain is not unique. To show you that we all bleed in similar places, and in that resonance, something aligns, something heals, something comes home. Without the circle, the experience becomes an echo. You scream inward and hear no response. You return from the trance with an open mind and no one to share with. And then everything cools, disperses. What was fire becomes smoke. What was truth becomes confusion. Because seeing is not enough. You must name what you saw. And sometimes you can't do that alone. Sometimes you need another voice, another gaze, another heart willing to witness. And that is not found in total solitude. It is found in the circle, in the human container that doesn't judge you, doesn't interpret you, just reflects you. In the jungle, it's not just you and the plant. It's the elders, the spirits, the fire, the drum, the song, the group. All are part of the same organism, all are medicine, all are part of the rite, and the ego cannot stand that, because the ego wants the spotlight. But ayahuasca is not theater, it is communion. If you drink alone, perhaps you will see, but you won't know what to do with what you saw. Because not everything is integrated in silence. Sometimes you need to be heard to remember that what you lived was real, that it wasn't just a trip, that it was a message, and the message wasn't only for you. Ayahuasca does not transform, not because it lacks power, but because that's not her role. She shows, she reveals, she teaches, but the work is not hers, it's yours. The plant opens the door, but it doesn't push you through, it doesn't carry you, and it doesn't hold you afterward. That's on you. Many confuse intensity with transformation. They see a powerful vision and believe something changed. They feel a deep connection and think they've awakened. But nothing changes if you don't live it. Nothing integrates if you don't embody it. Ayahuasca can show you the root of your pain, but she won't heal it for you. She can show you whom you need to forgive, but she won't put the words in your mouth. She can show you that you're lost, but she won't walk you back home. The ceremony ends, the plant leaves, and that's when the hard part begins the next day. The conflict in daily life, the patterns that return, the voice of doubt, the pull of routine. That's where you'll know if you truly saw or if you merely dreamed, if you understood or if you only felt, because the path is not what you saw. It's what you do now that you've seen it. Many return to the world as if nothing happened. They keep lying, keep hurting, keep running, but now with prettier words, a more mystical vocabulary and the air of having awakened. And the truth is, they only collected sensations. They changed nothing. Ayahuasca does not want admiration, she wants coherence. She doesn't want you to talk about her, she wants you to live what she showed you. To love more, judge less, listen for real, clean up what you've dirtied. Choose from the soul, not from fear. The plant is not the goal, it's the mirror, and if after seeing you do nothing with what you saw, then it was just spectacle. Just fire that doesn't warm, light that doesn't guide, truth you didn't live. The real ceremony begins when the song ends, when there are no more visions, no more fire, no more circle, only you. And the question that remains, what are you going to do now? What you saw wasn't new, it was simply forgotten. What you felt didn't come from the plant, it was already inside you, waiting for your silence. Waiting for you to drop the noise, the role, the story. The sacred isn't activated by chemicals, it's activated by presence. And if ayahuasca does anything, it's to return you to that, to what you already were, to what you've always been. But remembering is not enough. Seeing is not enough. Feeling is not enough, because no spirit walks for you. No vision washes your hands, no jaguar closes your wounds if you keep reopening them. And that is the real challenge, not opening the door, but holding what walks through. The plant has already spoken, already shown, already cleansed what it could. Now it's your turn. In how you listen, in how you respond to conflict, in how you walk when no one's watching. There are no more lights, no more songs, no more guides, only life. And life does not ask for visions, it asks for truth. Ayahuasca did not come to save you. She came to return your mirror. What you do with what you saw, that's what matters. If this message resonated with you, write in the comments, I saw what I didn't want to see, but I can't unsee it now. Not for us, for you. Because sometimes naming it is the first step toward living it.